each other saying, no weapons, this is peace, this is peace. They wanted it to be peaceful. It was very peaceful here yesterday. It is a long way from being peaceful here today after the arrival of these pro-government supporters.
And it seems also very evident that the army are unwilling to take any role in trying to separate the two sides or try and bring any sort of peace and calm back to Tahrir Square.
They are unwilling to play any role in it at the moment, but as I said earlier, I'm not exactly sure what role they can play now that these two groups are in amongst each other, throwing rocks at each other at the speed of 20 or 30 per every couple of seconds. I don't exactly know what the military can do to stop this. They needed to stop these two sides from ever meeting together in such great forces. So now that it's got to this point, I don't exactly know what they're going to be able to do. As I speak, we can see another protester coming back here being treated by five of his friends. There are no paramedics down here that I can see, but I'm down quite close to the battle itself, and everyone who's injured is taken back up into Tahrir Square, so there may well be paramedics there treating people. It is important to remember that Tahrir Square, the very centre of the square, where everybody was gathering yesterday, at this point is still relatively calm. It still is in the hands of the anti-government protesters, and this battle is taking place just down one street of Tahrir Square outside Cairo Museum.
Well, of course, let's see one of our other correspondents as we see shots of one group of protesters certainly charging against one of them. I think we can go back to our original correspondent. Obviously, communication's very, very difficult at the moment with so much happening there in Tahrir Square. If you're joining us here on Al Jazeera, these are shots of various groups of pro and anti-government supporters clashing in Tahrir Square. The clashes began around about an hour and a half ago. Many people are reported to have been injured, and their supporters came to the square on camel on a horse. The anti-government supporters. Let's go to one of our correspondents who was with the pro-Mubarak group. What's going on with them at the moment?
Well, Sahel, just a few minutes ago, a group of dozens of pro-Mubarak supporters split from the main protest and directed themselves towards the hotel where the Al Jazeera crew are and started chanting, "Where is Al Jazeera? Where is Al Jazeera?" Obviously, with the chant claiming that we have just been filming the anti-government demonstrators, but bearing in mind that our licenses have been revoked and our offices have been closed, it is difficult to film them despite their calls for us to do so. They were quickly dispersed by the military because obviously the hotel
all demonstrators and protect the right of self-expression.
Do you think this now changes the position of all the opposition groups as to how they will deal with the government and the president after these clashes?
The opposition blocks are firm. I'm a member of the... We now aware that there is no room or scope for negotiations until Mubarak steps down.
What do you think can be done what do you think can be done right now to try and stop these clashes between the two groups? Can anything be done between the two groups? Can anything be done?
Can you repeat the question again, please?
Mr. Mohammed El Balte, there we'll leave it for the moment. Thanks very much, sir, for joining us from the Muslim Brotherhood. Let's join Hassan Al-Tarazi, anti-Mubarak protester. Hello, sir. You're live on Al Jazeera. You were in Tahrir Square and in the middle of these clashes. What happened to you?
Hello. Hello?
Hello, Mr. Hassan Al-Tarazi. Can you hear me? It's Al Jazeera here. Areas of Tahrir Square telling us about how the military were not getting involved as pro-government supporters made their way towards the square. Just tell us what you can see right now. What's going on?
Well, I'm just on one of the side streets off Tahrir Square. Face clashes about 15 minutes ago. Now I can see they're just kicking off again, but on the opposite side. So whereas the military had blocked off one of the entrances into Tahrir Square to stop the pro-government protesters clashing with the anti-government protesters, now it's all happening on the other side of the square, spilling into further away from the square and spilling into the adjacent streets. People are throwing everything they can, mainly rocks flying in the air in every direction. People are going around as well saying enough, enough, we've made our point, but it doesn't seem to be holding back the hundreds really of people here, and at least the dozens who are throwing rocks into the air and trying to get those rocks to land on the protest. Now I can't see from my vantage point, I can't see where the other protesters are, the anti-Mubarak, the anti-government protesters are, but they must be very close because these people are throwing rocks away.
And out of all of these clashes, just tell me what happened to you.
Okay, so today I was in Tahrir Square as usual, and I went to bring some other friends of us which wanted to come demonstrate with us in the Tahrir Square. And I went to meet them, and on the way there we were holding signs, of course, with no to Mubarak. And then we met by coincidence some other demonstrations where demonstrators were saying yes to Mubarak. And then once they saw the signs, they started to stone us. So we had to run inside a shop, and they kept on throwing stones on us, maybe for 10 continuous minutes, and then we stayed there, we couldn't go out, and it was very easy that they come inside and catch us. And then maybe in the last 2 minutes, 2 military officers and some other soldiers, they came inside and they made a block between us and the other protesters, which wants to be with the regime of Hosni Mubarak, which we don't understand why they want to be with him. Because for me, this is the first time that we really do something as Egyptians for our freedom and for our rights. And what we don't understand yet.
Right, let's join. As you can see, these are pictures of these clashes between the two groups. Let's join another eyewitness, Greg. Just tell us, Greg, where you are, what you can see.
So, Hal, I've just come back. I was standing by the Egyptian Museum right near Tahrir Square in downtown Cairo. There was a group of what looked like close to 1,000 more pro-government demonstrators that had come across the 26th July Bridge, which comes across the Nile, and they were walking down towards the crowd that's already gathered outside the museum. So it's about every 10 or 15 minutes or so, it's like another group of reinforcements, so to speak, shows up.
Now, in terms of security, we're getting reports across the square from our correspondents. They can't see anything. Is there any that the army are getting involved at all?
Them are standing on top of their vehicles. Very few of them are even talking to the protesters. They're just trying to stay up there, and it looks like remain neutral. There are a lot of people from this pro-government crowd that are throwing rocks over the tops of the tanks into the protesters in Tahrir Square, and the army is not doing anything about that.
What's the makeup of this pro-government crowd? Are they men and women, children, young people, old people? Colour the picture for us.
It is mixed. I mean, I've seen the majority of them seem to be men, seem to be younger men, but I have seen a good number of women. People have brought their children, they've brought their families. There are some older people in the mix. I've talked to Muslims, I've talked to Coptic Christians. So it is a mix. It seems to be mostly men, but again, I have seen women and children.
And in terms of those that may have been injured, what sort of injuries have you seen, if any at all?
Mostly from rocks. There was one crowd of protesters that came down Palette Barb Street, one of the main downtown that runs into Tahrir, and they came rushing down the street throwing rocks. A number of people were hit. So I've seen people coming through with bloody faces, people who look like they've been hit in the face, hit in the arms by rocks. I haven't seen anything more serious than that yet.
Well, for the moment, Greg, thanks very much for joining us. Let's go now to join Mohammed El Belghati, a former Member of Parliament and a member of the Muslim Brotherhood. Hello, sir. Thank you for joining us on Al Jazeera.
I'm in the heart of Tahrir Square, and I can see that the peaceful or the demonstrations that saw about almost 5 million people and were peaceful yesterday turned to chaos today, and I can see only about hundreds of thousands
What sort of reaction do you have to the violence that you're seeing now? You had been very concerned about potential trouble.
At the moment, the speech delivered by the president was very provocative, as he used very sentimental words.